What up, everybody? Welcome back to Fandom Frequency. It's your boy Kenny bringing you another installment in our series titled The Recap, where we break down every single episode or the mid or full season of a particular show. Today, it's another installment of the God of Mischief, Loki himself, episode 5. Journey into Mystery. So, with no further ado, man, let's get right into this thing. And I absolutely love this episode as well. I think last episode was a bit better, just a bit, but this episode was kick ass, man. And I had so much fun seeing all the variant Lokis and how they're all backstabbing each other and everything in classic Loki fashion. But without getting too far ahead, we'll sort of go chronologically this time, and we pick up with our boy Loki waking up in this place called the Void, where, as Ravonna Renslayer explains later on, is a place where they send all the variants that are creating these nexus events that are committing nexus events that create these branch timelines. The timekeepers take these branch timelines and the variants and send them all the way to the end of the timeline in this void apocalypse situation that looks like New York City, actually, or a lot of stuff from New York City went there, I guess. And that's where they all get sent when any variant is pruned by the TVA. So I thought that was a really cool development and a nice, fairly simple explanation for where they went, because we don't necessarily know all the mechanics and the entire mystery of who's all behind the TVA and all that quite yet. So this explainer could be the actual explainer, or it could be changed a little bit and they could swerve us a bit with the true explanation of what this void really is. But Richard E. Grant, classic Loki himself, and then we have Kid Loki, Gator Loki, and Boastful Loki, which was the original character, the Black Loki that they created just for this show. And it was also funny when Loki, our Loki, that's been running around with the TVA lately, is like, what the hell is going on? Tell me what the hell is going on. And they're like, all right, we're in this void, blah 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 blah, like I just explained to you guys. And they're like, we can't escape from that cloud monster in the sky called an Avalon, I think it's called an Avalon, Absalon, something like that. An Avalon, I'll go with. And it's this big cloud monster in the sky that's gonna attack anybody that draws attention to themselves. So they have this little hideout, and they were saying, we're not gonna fight that thing. We're gonna stay here, and we're gonna hide out. I don't know what you're gonna do, homie, but that's what we've been doing, and we've been surviving. So they end up running away and say, we got to keep moving. So he keeps moving, and he asks the kid Loki, hey, what was your Nexus event? And he's like, I killed Thor. And I was like, damn, he went full Omen on motherfuckers, bro. But no possessions, you know what I'm saying? And no resurrections this time. So they end up going to their little compound or whatever. And we also cut over to our girl Sylvie, who's still at the TVA investigating Ravonna Renslayer about where the timekeepers are, what's going on, what does she know, and why they took her in the first place. She doesn't explain any of this. And then she starts to try to get on Sylvie's side and says, oh, I was betrayed too, and I want to know who the timekeepers are, which turns out to be partially true, but she isn't trying to work with her necessarily. She's just trying to get a means to an end, get her captured, get her answers, and figure out what's going on. She doesn't have any interest in actually helping Sylvie take him down. She just wants answers because apparently, from what it seems right now, she has been fooled, supposedly. So we go from there and get back with our Lokis. And Richard E. Grant's Loki ends up explaining his backstory and where he came from and how he escaped from Thanos and all that. When in how we saw in Infinity War after Ragnarok in the timeline, he ends up getting his neck snapped, right? Well, not this Loki. He created a projection of himself, apparently, that made Thanos think he snapped his neck, which you might be able to poke some plot holes into. Not quite sure yet. We'll see. But overall, I really like that explainer. And then the boastful Loki was all lying about his backstory, saying that he killed Cap and Iron Man and took all 6 Infinity Stones and just became the ruler as he always wants to with this glorious purpose. But of course, that's not actually true. And the alligator Loki calls him out on it, and he's like, "You're lying, motherfucker." And then he's like, "What? You want to get down, homie?" And they end up fighting, and he's biting him and shit. And then they end up, our boy Loki ends up interrupting and saying, "Hey, we got to formulate a plan to take this damn Epsilon out, or Avalon, whatever." And they're like, "Nah, man, we can't do that." And then he ends up having this big, inspirational Independence Day Bill Pullman speech about how they got to go take this thing down. And with as much help as he can get, they can actually take it down. And they just straight up laugh in his face, man. It's hilarious. So they're just like, ha 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 ha. And they're just cracking up and they're like, this nigga's crazy, man. And then our Loki's like, fuck y'all, man, you monsters. He ends up climbing up the little ladder to go out the compound. And when he does open the little door that leads him in there, he runs into President Loki from all the trailers and the promo material we've been hearing and seeing so much about. And he's just, typical old evil Loki, only out for himself, running with the army of other variant Lokis, like literally 20 some. So it's like it's so crazy how all these variant Lokis just survive and get thrown here, and how they're always causing these Nexus events, which totally lines up with Loki as a character. So you gotta love that. And another thing I love about that I still have a theory about for now, and we'll see if this is proven wrong with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, the end of this show, and No Way Home with Spidey. But I'm still thinking that Loki is the true Nexus being in the Marvel Universe, or him and Wanda are Nexus beings, and there's more than one in the MCU canon. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see if I'm reaching a little far or not, but that's one of my other major theories running here in Loki before we wrap things up next week. So where do we go from there? Oh yeah, and then President Loki's like, well, you're not going anywhere because guess what? Your boy Boastful Loki just betrayed you. And he's like, ha, got y'all. And I'm going to take the throne now. And he's like, well, President Loki steps in. And he's like, nah, bruh. Actually, I'm going to keep ruling everything. And I'm taking all of y'all out. And he's like, what? We made a deal, bruh. And he's like,
come on. What did you expect?
what did you expect? Come on now. And then all the other variant Lokis turn on him, and he's like, you fucking dogs and you heathens, or whatever he ends up saying. And then our boy Loki ends up sneaking his way out of there as all the variant Lokis going full council of Lokis right here start fighting each other. And then you got old man Loki over there, Richard E. Grant, fighting people and then projecting a copy of himself that can fight people and use his powers and everything. So he seems pretty powerful. And I guess I can kind of see how he tricked Thanos because it seems really real, man. It's almost like the reality stone type shit. So who knows? Maybe that's where he got some of his power from. Maybe he got a power boost at some point. I don't know. But it was really cool also with his character, jumping back and forth a little bit here, but I liked how he also went into solitude after he escaped from Thanos and ended up going in solitude, almost like Luke in The Last Jedi or something. And he stayed there for decades and decades until he got old and started missing Thor and his family and wondered if anyone missed him. And once he started going off the planet he went to, bam, TVA shows up, Nexus event, get his ass. So that's why he got sent to the void, and he's been on the run ever since. So I love that whole explainer with him, and just all the backstories with our variant Lokis that are helping out our boy Loki. It's just awesome. And then jumping back to Sylvie, she is talking with Ravana still, trying to get more answers, and Ravana ends up stalling, of course, summoning Miss Minutes to get files on the origins of the TVA in the beginning of the timeline. Sort of similar stuff that Loki was looking for back in episode 2. And she's just bullshitting, stalling, waiting for time, trying to get answers until the Minutemen show up to try to take Sylvie. But then Sylvie jumps over the counter there since they're in the little courtroom earlier from the premiere episode. She jumps behind the stand and then she ends up pruning herself with the staff that she was threatening Ravana with and goes to the void herself to get some answers. And once she gets there, she has to run away from the cloud monster and then ends up running into who else? None other than our boy. Wow. Mobius coming through with the clutch save and something that looks like a pizza boy's car with the pizza thing on hanging on top with the spring. Real old school right there. And then he ends up saving Sylvie in the nick of time. And then they end up formulating a plan together to use Sylvie's powers of enchantment on the Avalon monster in the sky or whatever. And then they end up trying to do that, meeting up with all our other Loki variants. And once they do, they try to enact this plan, but our variant Lokis, Kid Loki, Classic Loki, don't want to do it. But our Loki and Sylvie are all down for it. So they end up teaming up, working together to try to take out the Avalon and enchant it. But that doesn't work quite well for a little bit. And they end up having to stall for time. And old man Loki steps in just in the nick of time to save him by using these projections that he was making earlier, but this time he's creating a whole new recreation of Asgard. So that was really awesome too, man, and I love that. But unfortunately, he got taken out because he had to stall for Loki and Sylvie to get powerful enough to enchant it to open up. Oop, sorry, hit the mic there. Opening up the portal to really see what's behind the curtain, and it's some mysterious looking building or whatever. So, bam, that's the end of the episode right there, man. And I gotta say, I absolutely loved the episode overall. It was such a blast. I had such a great time with the Council of Loki's vibe, and just the quirky humor was on point as always. But there was still some good character beats, some nice character development for the old man Loki that got taken out, our main boy Loki, and Sylvie, of course. And then with Mobius running off through the portal back to the TVA, who knows what he's going to do exactly. And now we know Loki and Sylvie are going to go get some answers. So I can't wait to go on the journey with them to get these answers, yo. But what did you think of the episode, man? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was whack? Did you think it was okay? Did you have a similar issue that I have? And the only issue I have with the episode, that I thought the cloud monster thing was a little repetitive from things we've seen before in the MCU and stuff like that. But other than that, man, I gotta say, Loki episode 5 is another 8 out of 10, man. I loved it. Not quite as good as episode 4 or episode 2, but I gotta say, I enjoyed the hell out of this, and I can't wait to watch it again. But what did you think? Let us know in the comments section below if you're watching us on the YouTube. If you're listening to us through the podcast feeds, we're all over the place. Make sure you download the episodes. It helps us out a lot, helps the channel grow, and let the people know. But until next time, y'all, we're going to be seeing you on the Black Widow review, Loki episode 6, a lot of other stuff, man. But stay tuned, don't sleep, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, y'all.